Hi, I'm Mrs. Pearson, and I'm here in the woods hanging out with some friends. Did you know that in Michigan we have 73 different kinds of trees? There are 73 different kinds of trees that have leaves and about 20 different kinds that are conifers or have needles. A tree is a single-stemmed woody plant that we have everywhere, and obviously you see a lot of them around here. There's lots of wood when you look around the forest. In Michigan there are 10 trees that are the most common, and we're going to take a look at one of those. Here's a leaf from one of the trees that we see very often around Michigan, and if we don't see this particular one, we see one of its relatives. There are 10 relatives of this tree in Michigan. So we're going to use some of the leaves, and we're also going to use this dichotomous key book to find out what kind of tree these leaves are from. We're going to start here, and we start here for all the leaves that we want to look for. If the tree has needles, start with this symbol. And if it had needles, we would go down to this symbol and follow along. But our leaf does not have needles, so we're going to start with the symbol. And it says go to page 14. So we'll go to page 14. Our leaf isn't on this page yet. Up here it told us to go to page 14 to this symbol. If the leaves or buds grow opposite, like this, go below to here. And look at this. Our leaves do grow opposite. You see, they go right exactly across from each other. So we know that when we look at the clue, they're opposite, so we're going to go below to this symbol. And when we look down the page, there's the symbol. Now we need to look at these clues. If the leaves are compound, composed of several leaflets. Now there are a lot of leaves here, but they're single leaves by themselves, so they're not several leaflets together. This would be an example of a compound leaf. If the leaves are simple, then we're going to go on down to this symbol on page 18. Okay, so we know so far we have simple leaves. Okay, and here we are on page 18 to our two trees and a star symbol. If each leaf has a single main vein with smaller side veins and is without teeth or lobes. Okay. If each leaf has 3 to 7 main veins radiating from one point. So we're going to turn it over to see the veins. Okay. And there are several veins here that go out. Just 3 to 7 main veins, and they radiate out from the center. So we're going to go below to this symbol. And now this talks about notches. Okay, on a leaf, here are some notches. A notch, of course, is where there's a little bit taken out. So here are the notches. And here are the lobes, the pointy parts that come up between the notches, kind of like mountains and valleys. Okay, if the notches between the lobes are V-shaped, so they make a real V, we're going to go below to this symbol. If the notches are U-shaped, we'll go down to this symbol and take a look at these notches. That's a definite U shape right there. So we're going to go on to page 20 to the shape. Remember that shape right there. Okay, page 20. And here we are at that symbol. If the leaf stem shows a milky juice when broken, leaves are leaf usually wider than long, base of leaf not curving. Okay, so this says if, let's see, usually the leaf is wider than it is long. Our leaves here are pretty much as tall as they are wide, generally speaking. They're not long and skinny. Then it's a Norway maple, and this is a Norway maple here. Another thing you can notice is along the base of the Norway maple, it's a fairly straight line, and I have a sample of a Norway maple here. Take a look at that. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so now we're going to go back to our leaf, And the other choice here is if there is no milky juice, leaf about as long as it is wide, the base of the leaf is curving. See that right there? Looks like a little mustache, kind of. So from all of our research, we found out that we have a sugar maple. Okay, and you can see here some of the other relatives of the sugar maple that we have in Michigan. One of the things you might not know is trees actually have cookies. Did you know trees have cookies? I'm going to ask you to look that up because I don't want to tell you. I don't want to give it away. The tallest tree in Michigan is 155 feet tall. That's about the size of a half of a football field. If you could stand a football field up on its end, halfway up would be the tallest tree in Michigan. That's pretty tall, about 50 yards. Okay. And the oldest tree in Michigan is, let's see, it was a bur oak down in southern Michigan, and it was between 600 and 700 years old. Amazing stuff. All right, let's take a look at a different tree leaf that we have from a tree that we have many of in Michigan. This is one of the kinds of oaks. There are about 22 different kinds of oak trees in Michigan, and this is just one of them. But I wanted to use this one to show you that we talked about veins. There are veins in the oak, and you've probably have heard of veins and you have them in your body, but I wanted to show you the two things that we didn't get a really good look at. This part right here where it bumps out is a lobe. Okay, all these bump out parts are lobes. And different leaves have fat lobes and skinny lobes and long lobes and short lobes. This particular kind of oak has these kind of medium-sized rounded lobes. The other part of the lobe, though, is where it dips down. That's the notch. These, some of these are more shaped like a U. Remember in our maple leaf, we determined that the notch was a U instead of a V. Some of the maple leaves have more of a V, like this one right here is more of a V. There's some U's in here too. But this is what a V notch looks like. Okay, and let's see what else. Here's a straight stem. Some of the leaves have curved stems. Let's take a look at these. Oh, the edges of the leaves, all this way around it. If you were going to trace this leaf, you would be tracing around the margin of the leaf. And leaves have all different kinds of margins. Take a look at this one. This is a totally different shaped leaf, so it's not an oak and it's not a maple, but we could find out what it is. But when you look at, you can see the little edges are like jaggedy, kind of like a saw blade, like all the way around. That's called a serrated edge. And some leaves don't have any serration, they don't have any lobes, they're just plain smooth. This one still has serration on it, but look at the shape of that leaf. So many different kinds. Remember, we have 73 different kinds that are in the woods of the broadleaves. And then if we add all the trees that people plant in their yards and get from the nurseries and so on, we have many, many more trees in Michigan. Thanks for joining us today. My friends and I really appreciate you coming along and playing with us for a little while. I hope you all have a tremendous week.